So here's the thing about ALS, otherwise known as Lou Gehrig's disease, that I don't think gets covered enough. When you have ALS, your entire body degenerates on you. We all know that. You lose your ability to speak. You can't move any of your extremities. You actually lose control of your bowels. But here's what they don't tell you. It actually doesn't affect your brain. You are as sharp and as cognitive as you ever were. So you literally become a prisoner inside of your own body. There's a fascinating documentary called Gleason that you can watch wherever you watch your movies on demand. And it's about Steve Gleason, a former New Orleans Saint NFL football player who, after retirement, got diagnosed with ALS. And at the same time, found out that his wife was expecting a child. So he began documenting everything. So you begin to watch Steve fight ALS, and now he has a nonprofit charitable organization called Team Gleason. And we're asking you to consider visiting teamgleason.org and making a donation. The Gleason Initiative Foundation helps provide individuals with neuromuscular diseases or injuries with leading-edge technology, equipment, and services, and they're trying to create a global conversation about ALS to ultimately find solutions and an end to the disease. Please visit teamgleason.org and consider making a charitable donation. A new episode of the Felt Recoil podcast starts now. All right, welcome to Felt Recoil.
What'd you do to the music?
I don't know. It sounds like it's echoing from a dark dungeon chamber far, far away. Sounds kind of cool.
I won't argue that.
It's hopefully the only hiccup as we enter episode number 15 of the Felt Recoil podcast. My name's Kris, and across from me,
It's Patrick.
what's up, P-Mag?
Not much, man. What's up with you?
Yeah, well, hopefully this is the only glitch. We're back, settled in the home office here after our visit to Thomas Creek Brewery. If you haven't listened to that episode, it's great. And don't forget, if you search Felt Recoil on YouTube, you can see our video recap there as well. I didn't know I had a gripe with Jason from Virginia until I ran into him again today. We said hello to him a couple of episodes ago. And I saw him again today in the gun store environment, and he said, "Hey, how's it going?" And I said, "Hey, good." And then we got talking a little bit more, and I'm not gonna name the company just because we don't talk about where we work, so I'll show him the same respect. But then I'm like, "So what do you do for a living?" And he starts explaining it to me. Well, then it occurs to me that several weeks ago, someone came into where I work and dropped off a massive amount of samples of potato chips. Massive amounts. Now, I'm in no way like the health guru here. I want to be very clear about that. But I am trying something new where I only eat potato chips. I'm just kidding.
And how's that working out for you?
Right. I've lately been trying to avoid things like that. But my kids, my two boys especially, who are eating solid foods as a habit, happen to be in love with these cheesy little curly things they make. And there's this big bag of them sitting there in the middle of all this other stuff. And so everybody's grabbing what they want, and they were left. So I said, well, I'm going to take that bag that's as big as my 2-year-old home and let them have at it. And so I did. And then now, unfortunately, every morning, that's the breakfast request. It's usually some muffins and strawberries tends to be the habit. And now it's, no, leave that over there. We want this. And they will literally, the 2-year-old especially, will walk over and he'll point and go, "No, Dad, no." And then he'll point at that. And he says, chips. He's a bossy little bugger, but he tends to get his way too much, and I blame myself. So anyway, thanks, Jason from Virginia. But we saw him again today and wanted to say, hey. And by the way, thanks to Jason and thanks to everyone else who, when we run into them, says, it's a great little podcast, and I'm telling my friends, we're upping the downloads every day. We grow a little bit more every day, and that's it's really kind of humbling. I don't know that embarrassing is not the right word. Maybe it's just a strong dose of humility I'm not used to because I'm such a just constant hero of the people. Oh yes, and a jerk. But it is interesting. We're getting a few more every day. So we're gonna plan something big. We have a big something in the background we're working on. But I'm going to say this, and maybe it's a faux pas to talk about your exact number of downloads, but we're getting a good many, and I'm happy about that. So I want to push this on you. Okay, you ready? Yeah, I just got to get back here to my little website that we use. We pay, by the way, to find out how many people are downloading. So we're currently sitting at all-time downloads of 3,692. That is since January when we kicked this off again. Okay. Again, slow growth. We're happy to have it. Humble little beginnings here. Here's what I'm thinking. When we hit 5,000, so that is 1,308 downloads away. Whenever that happens, the 5,000 download happens, we'll stop what we're doing and we will record one single thing and we'll have a giveaway. And I'm thinking, PMag, tell me what you're thinking. I'm thinking we'll do an AR lower. Okay, stripped lower receiver.
I like it.
And maybe throw in a couple of Daniel Defense magazines. The 32 rounders, the good ones that I like to use.
The good stuff.
Want to do that?
I like that.
So we'll do the strip lower and 2 Daniel Defense 32 round mags when we hit 5,000. And that, look, just so you know, February total downloads, and I'm not saying this to brag. This is for you to have perspective on. Oh, we're going to wait till they get 5,000. Well, February, we had 2,300, 2,298 downloads just for February. So we'll get there a lot quicker than you might think. So 1,308 more downloads, and we'll do a strip lower receiver and 2 Daniel Defense magazines.
Which shouldn't take long because I think we're averaging about 260 something an
Couple
episode.
more. Yeah.
Which is really impressive because I don't think either of us have that many friends combined.
Right.
Just throwing that out there.
I don't know that many people. And just to be clear, to complement your point, we don't have to have that many of new episodes. People are downloading older episodes every day. So we're getting somewhere, I think, around 40 to 50 downloads a day right now. So
also,
cool.
I noticed in our stats, we're really big in Slovakia. Huge there.
We're massive. We do want to say hello to, did we have 30 Slovakian downloads?
I think it's more than that.
Was it 30 to 35 Slovakian downloads?
In one day.
It makes me wonder. I have a cousin who shall remain nameless, but I know he's ended up in some sketchy parts of the world, and it kind of makes me wonder if he's back out there doing some operating or something. Who knows? But speaking of analytics, we're gonna skip right to this. Were you doing this by any chance? By the way, so if you can, get your phone and open the YouTube creator app that we have here. Everybody's linked to this. My phone is dead, unfortunately. It's in the other room.
Okay.
Didn't have time to charge it today. Was too busy playing Hero. We'll get to that in a minute.
We're up and running, buddy.
Up and running. Okay, so here's what's funny. So YouTube, we've started our channel. We've got about 5 videos up right now. And I just want to ask you, Patrick, before I go any further, were you doing the podcast to meet girls? Was that ever going to be, like, were you like, maybe if things don't work out, at least I can fall back on, hey, girl, I got a podcast?
That wasn't my original intent.
Okay.
Not to say it couldn't go in that direction.
Well, don't let it go in that direction.
Okay.
Because now we're going to talk analytics. This is what I thought was funny. How many total views do we have on the YouTubes?
Let's see here. That's a good question.
Should be about.
I got to figure out how to use this
It's
thing.
8,432, right?
Why are you asking me then? You already know.
Well, I thought you were looking at it and you would say it and it would help the bit a little bit. Like,
Well, I would, but there's so much information here that it's almost impossible to weed through all of it.
so don't worry about that. Look for demographics of views where it'll tell you the minutes, total minutes viewed, that kind of thing. I want you to hunt that
Right,
down.
like that's supposed to be easy to find.
Should be on the homepage. 8,432 views. We got lucky because I put together this Bush versus Obama West Point edition, where if you haven't seen how Obama walks out on stage and the West Point people all just kind of sit there and are like, yeah, whatever. And then I juxtapose that against Bush actually walking out on stage and the place goes nuts. So it's like 4 years apart. They loved Bush. They didn't like Obama. He's very critical of the military and he was never in the military. It's a hard spot for him to be in. But I'm looking at our analytics, and it'll break it down by gender. And so the amount of views is 8,432, and of that, what percentage are men?
96.
96. And of women, 4.
4.
So I thought, well, it's a good thing I'm married with 3 kids, and I'm happy as could be, because this is not a venture to meet the ladies. But if you'll go to YouTube and give us a subscribe.
We're going to have to change the base of most of our topics. We're going to have to bring a lot more Pinterest into the show.
Sexist much. Come on, man. You know better. But yeah, you're probably right.
I don't know better. Probably part of the problem.
You know, I'll tell you this. I'm a social media guy. I get paid to run social media for people, right? And I remember with the gun company saying we should get on Pinterest and grab some of the female contingent. And boy, I've never been more wrong. It's all dudes. And I'm talking, we have thousands of followers on that Pinterest page, and it's all dudes. And Pinterest is addicting. It's almost like a more well-organized Instagram. I kind of actually almost, if I was being totally gay, I'd tell you I prefer it, but it's pretty nice. Sorry. Anyway, the whole point is,
I'm going to continue to be straight and let everyone know I don't even have a Pinterest account.
All right. Point number 2, we haven't done a mom gripe in a while, so let's start there with Chris's mom gripe. You can tell me if you have an answer for this, because I don't. I was on LinkedIn the other day. I don't know if I want to
get involved.
I was on LinkedIn the other day, job hunting as usual, because I hate working alongside you. No, but I'm on LinkedIn, and
it's apparent.
And I'm trying to. I use LinkedIn for my creative portfolio. One of the things I do on the side is freelance for people. I'll do photography and videography and voice work if they need it. And so that's, good extra income. I'm hoping to buy a new car one day. And so I'm trying to push, my freelance work to raise a little cash there. So far, not so good. But anyway.
Audi is just out of reach.
Right. I am on LinkedIn, and this company updates their status, if you will, or they make a post. You don't have a status on LinkedIn. You just post things. And it's these 4 chicks, and they're all doing the chicken wing. And so I update my Facebook status to basically say, ladies, we get it. When someone points a camera at you, you know how to impersonate a chicken. But I really think in 5 years, we're going to regret this trend. Like, this is going to go the way of the duck faces and peace signs. You know what I'm saying? Like the kissy faces and peace signs, where they do that weird thing 15-year-old girls do.
What about when they do all 3 of those things at the same time?
I guess that's possible. I didn't think about that. Kill them all at that time. But it's interesting. So my point is, so I make that the Facebook status. So I'm kind of making fun of this fact. Here's the interesting thing about this isn't just about women, this is about people in general. That's always funny to me. People tend to believe that they are smart enough to be trendy. And that's such a stupid approach to things, because there's nothing smart about being trendy. You're simply doing what you've been told to do. So I put my hand on my hip and I impersonate a chicken. It doesn't mean I know how to pose in a photograph. It just means I saw somebody else do it. It doesn't mean I understand the theory of, well, now my waistline looks smaller because my hand, my elbow is at a 90-degree angle. It doesn't mean anything. It just means you know how to do what everyone around you is doing, right? There are people that you and I talk about, and if you're in any sort of creative venture for fun, if whatever hobby you have, you do your thing, you'll notice that there are people out there who believe that if they see somebody do something, impersonating it to them conveys to the other person that they're just as good as they are, or they know how to think in that same line of thought. I can think in those channels because, look, you did that.
That's called following.
It's called following. It's called being a sheep, right? It's not called creative. It's not called being a leader. It's not called innovation in any way. It's simply, I saw you do that. I'm going to do my rendition of it, and I think that people think this way. They look at it and they go, when they see me do it, they'll know I'm capable of doing the same thing. When in reality, the creators see it and they go, well, there's another person ripping me off. It happens all the time. They rip me off. And I'm not saying this for me. I'm saying if you're the creator that gets ripped off, the creator tends to think, well, I have to swallow my pride and view it as a compliment, but it actually irks them. So I don't know who the original chicken wing girl is or the photographer, because, in full disclosure, when I asked you about it, you said Supposedly, there's a theory from a photographer somewhere that it makes the women look skinnier. It complements their waistline against the bosom. But nobody's looking at your waist or your bosom. Now we're like, why is she standing there like a chicken?
Why is her hand
What's the chicken wing?
down on her hip?
Right.
Like, really.
Is that how you
awkwardly.
stand? Can you imagine having a conversation with a girl and she just stood with her hip, like her hand on, hand on her hip like that? It's like a bad '80s movie black character
You'd
girl.
be like,
She's got all the sass. She
your
puts her
back
hand-
hurting?
She's
Like,
talking to me. Right. Yes. Is your back? Would you like to have a seat? Are you okay? I don't understand it. So
Would you like me to call you an ambulance?
it's like this trendy thing, right? Like, for instance, here's another gripe I have with you ladies. Again, they're only 4% of the audience, so we can say what we want.
And
You know
turns
what?
out now 3%.
I'm gonna actually
And
I can,
2%.
I can include a lot of people we know in this. I don't like the trendy dressing. So there's this thing now where girls all wear boots and tights and tuck the tights into the boots. What are you dressing for? Are you dressing for the snowstorm or are you going to the gym? You don't wear the tights in
Ballet
the boots.
in the snow,
Right.
actually.
It's so weird. If you walk around,
Obviously, Chris has never been to Swan Lake.
obviously I've been married for nearly a decade is what this is. You go to any social function, look around the room and then look at the girls' feet and they'll all be wearing the same style boots and they'll all have the same thing tucked into them and they will all tell you that somehow they were smart enough to come up with that. But they weren't. And listen, it's not just women, it's guys too. Go into the tactical world and look at every dude walking around with these cargo pants on and then say, hey, what's in that cargo pocket? Oh, nothing. What's in that one? Nothing. Then what the heck are you doing with them on? Buy a pair of jeans and be more comfortable and look a lot less douchey. You won't look like a nerd if you're rocking some Levi's. You'll look normal. No, man, I got to tack out. That's a nice belt you have there. Is that a rigger's belt? Yeah, well, what gun do you carry every day? I don't. Well, then what are you doing?
That's when they're doing airborne operations.
Yeah, how
That's why
often-
they have the rigger's belt.
How often are you climbing out of a helicopter? Was that yesterday and you just wore the same belt today?
Just flew in. No big deal.
Right, exactly.
You know
So-
what gets me?
Tell me.
If I could hijack your rant for a second.
I hope you do.
Is when I was in college, fraternity guys would wear the pledges. Let me be real specific. The pledges would wear their little shorty shorts and
The chubbies.
New Balance.
Nowadays,
Now
right?
chubbies. Yeah.
Chubbies, yeah.
New Balance shoes, and then tube socks.
That was a thing.
That was a thing. But the pledges wore them, and I think that was a way of identifying pledges.
Yeah, making fun of them a little bit.
I think so. But now, like high school, middle school kids have adopted that style where they're wearing the shorty shorts, the stupid sneakers that
Yep.
all look the same, and the tube socks, which are not comfortable.
So, funny enough,
I hate those things.
similar story.
I don't get it.
Well, they make your legs itch if you're like
That's
me.
what I'm talking
Every
about.
time I wear like high crew socks for the day, which I tend to do because I really like Colombian REI socks, and those are the type of socks they make. But continually, I feel like, man, my legs itch tonight. And I'm like, well, yeah, because I've worn my socks too long. If I don't take them off when I get home and go around barefoot for a little while, let my legs breathe, sans underpants and everything, then I'm itchy. But it reminds me of when I was, I think I would have been like 9 or 10 years old. We lived in Jacksonville, Florida. We spent a week at a condo on Panama Beach in Panama City, Florida, and all of our cousins came. And our cousin Jeff was always the goofball, right? He was just the goofy guy. He was a lot of fun, real funny dude. And Jeff had this really long, shaggy hair, and I think what happened was that his mom was giving him a hard time about cutting his hair or something. So Jeff literally pulled all of his hair up into a rubber band at the center of the top of his head, just right at the dome. And then he shaved all the hair around and then dropped it down. And we walked around and everyone saw him and laughed and laughed and laughed. And he'd put it in a little man bun and we'd walk around and people would point and laugh and laugh and laugh. Now, I never understood it because I don't want people pointing and laughing at me. I've just always been that self-conscious, but Jeff just never was. Now, guys go to the barber and pay an exorbitant amount of money to get what I like to call the douche helmet haircut, where it looks like your barber died halfway through and cut everything but the top, didn't blend any edges or anything. And then they go, but I never shave. You paid $60 for a haircut so you could look perfectly groomed to complement it with trying to look like a lumberjack. Okay. And that's another thing. You're not cool and you're not operator status because you've grown, your hair a certain way, you got the big beard or whatever. You've done what's trendy. And that's cool. If that's you, do your thing. This all goes back to my mom saying, well, you're picking on every girl in this family. And then my wife finding a picture of every girl in my family literally doing the chicken wing and putting it on there. And then everybody's upset because Kris made fun of the girls in the family. Well, if you did it, yes. But there's certainly plenty of things to make fun of me about, But it's also just one of those things where when you see the mass of people all doing the same thing, like making fun of my dad and brother for voting for Trump. Who would have thought they'd gotten so heated, both of them individually, when they found out I didn't vote for Trump? It's not because I hated Trump. I still don't trust him. I'm about. I think I've reached. I think I'm gonna say I'm at 85% trust for Trump.
That's pretty strong.
That's my trust for Trump meter. But every time I see him, I think
Trademark.
Thank you. Every time I see him, I think to myself, man, the ball's gonna drop. There's something's coming. The other shoe's going to drop, and we're going to find out what's really going on here. And I'm not saying this about my dad and brother because I don't want a dad gripe segment next week. But I am saying there's too many people too willing to give him too much power. I just don't trust it. And I don't care if you're Donald Trump, Barack Obama, George W. Bush. You don't need all that power. One man shouldn't wield power over another man ever in this country.
We need more executive orders because we haven't had enough of those.
And isn't that the great part of what he's doing right now, though? Like, that's kind of what has ticked me up to 85% is the fact that I know that they're only angry because Trump is rescinding. All of his executive orders are now him saying, we're going to enforce the law, and the left is so upset. I know I've hit on that before, so I won't repeat myself too much. But they're just mad that now he wants to enforce the law. So anyway, so sorry to my mom and every woman in my family that I don't like your chicken wing photos. But really, maybe we could just find something new to do. Like maybe, and this is just a big maybe we just stand like normal people in pictures. Put our hands by our sides. Smile.
We give that some thought.
Be proud of yourself. Don't be so self-conscious when they take the picture. I mean, you're talking to a fat schlub. There's nothing you can do for me when they take the picture. I've resolved years ago. Well, I'm just gonna look like me. So, let me, whatever. I can make whatever face or posture I want to do. I'm gonna look like a schlub. So, join the club.
I have a real quick mom gripe for the tail end of that. My mom keeps asking me why I'm still hanging out with you.
I saw her publicly do it on Facebook.
That's the whole mom gripe.
What's your answer to her?
I haven't come up with a good one yet.
From now on, you can go, Mom. 4% female listeners. 4%.
Well, when we're recording the podcast, free beer. I don't know. I'm gonna have to think of something better than that.
All right. I need some help this week.
Only this week? Come on.
Yes. I need some help not hating people. I need to learn to not hate people. I remember years ago, not even many years ago, right after my first son was born, which 3 to 4 years ago, I was doing this thing with my dad on Friday nights. It was called Freedom That Lasts. And it was essentially an addiction and recovery program that was operating inside of a church, but it was a Christian organization. But it was also, so you would go and it wasn't because I was an addict or anything. There were a lot of just church members that went because it was basically like going to a church service on Friday nights, but its focus was making you a better person overall. Okay. And you would divide up into these private little groups, and it was very similar to what I would assume. I've never been, but what I would assume is like any sort of, anonymous recovery program, right? So you would get in these rooms, you would study scripture, and you would talk about, well, here's where I'm struggling, here's where I'm struggling, here's what I'm doing. And I don't ever remember anybody being like, well, I was addicted to this forever and I've kicked it. I don't ever remember that happening, but everybody this has always been my bad habit that I'm trying to kick, be it, vulgarity or pornography or whatever, run down the list. And I remember having a conversation with my dad where I said, my problem is I'm so angry. Like I get so mad so easy at people. And he's like, really? And I said, I just sometimes, like, there are just times, and I've never acted out on it. I've never been violent towards anybody. People just make me mad. They just make me mad, which, as I've said before, is why I find this so therapeutic, because you get to come here and you just get to say it, which is why I'm so easily convinced to troll people on Facebook. Because if you're going to say things on Facebook that are stupid or that are mean or they're just plain wrong, I have a problem with coming after you and saying, nope, you're stupid, you're mean, and you're wrong. Like, it's not a difficult thing for me to do. But we had this conversation where I said, one day I'd like to just not be mad. I'd like to just not be mad at people so easily. And I thought about that because I am currently, I'm selling a couple of guns that I'm not using anymore. And I want to buy the Hudson Manufacturing H9 when it comes out. Okay. And so I kind of check in with them occasionally. Now, if you don't know what the Hudson H9 is, you need to just do yourself a favor, pause this, and come back in a little while once you've gone and Googled them. It is essentially, and I'm saying this very essentially, a striker fired 1911. That's what you're getting out of the deal. Okay,
Right.
but it's amazing. It shoots really, really flat, well controlled. Blah blah blah. Now. One of the members of their team during the design and production process is a guy named Kris Serino. And they have videos up of him testing an early prototype of the H9. But Kris was diagnosed with cancer just before, I don't know if he was diagnosed just before SHOT Show, but he was going into a round of chemo pre-SHOT Show and was not able to go to SHOT Show. So they posted a thing saying, hey, if you want to support him, you can go over to this Facebook page and you can give it a like, and it's Team Serino. That's Cerino, Team Serino. I don't know Kris. Okay, I don't know anybody at Hudson. I'm going to be real clear about that. Kris doesn't seem like the type of guy that wants anybody's sympathy. I don't know what he did before any of this. I don't know much about the guy. But he comes across very much as, I'm not here for your sympathy. I don't need it and I don't want it. But he's also a very straight shooter kind of guy, right? So there's all these interesting posts on his Facebook page for Team Serino. And you know what? For the record, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. But
yeah, I don't know if you are or not.
The way it plays out in my head. I'm trying to look here and see exactly what his diagnosis was, and I can't find it. Okay, here we go. He says, many do not know this yet, but I've not been feeling well for a couple of months. This is from December 22nd. They've determined it to be cancer that has been growing for the past 2 years. The cancer came from previous testicular cancer. Apparently, the cancer had moved away from the radiation and hid in my liver. The prognosis for a full recovery is good, and it's treatable with chemotherapy and other IV drugs. The worst part is that this will take 4 months, and during those months, I'll be restricted. Okay. I happen to know a little bit something about this. If you get a cancer in your body, like he did with testicular cancer, and it spreads, it's still that same type of cancer. Still just as treatable as this testicular cancer was, and so they can go in and battle it. So this is all leading to this. So Hudson posts and says, our thoughts are with him. He's the director of training. Our thoughts are with our director of training, Kris Serino, seen here testing an early prototype. Now, if you've been following the story, you understand that he has cancer and they're wishing him well. Here's the comments underneath it. This is what drives me crazy about people. Again,
lay it on me.
This is best wishes to our friend currently battling cancer. And they post a video. And the comment is, can't wait for the pistol. Okay, no problem. Glad to know it was an early prototype. That brass is flying everywhere. Honestly, can't wait to buy one. Okay, snark in the cancer comments. Can y'all stop making videos and release this pistol? Okay.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the one that got me worked up. When and where can I buy them? You should hurry up before the hype goes away. So, full disclosure, I replied. Takes a real douche to hijack a post wishing someone well who is battling cancer. To which this dude says, there are a lot of people urging them to ship the gun. Why the F you singled me out? I don't know about the cancer thing, and I see everybody is on the gun only. Yes, best wishes to the patient, but seriously, what the F did I do offensive? First of all, your grammar.
Your grammar was very offensive, sir.
No, I'm offended by your grammar. Secondly, because your head is so far firmly planted up your own backside, you don't know what you're commenting on. If a post starts with, best wishes to, oh, did he have a kid? Like, what's the backstory? Best wishes for what? But they didn't even say that. Our thoughts and well wishes. Our thoughts and well wishes. The guy could be dead for all you know. And here you are being a... You know, it's funny because when you do mom gripes first, you really work to clean up the language. Now, I don't think, I try not to be foul anyway. But I wanted to call him a jerk off, but I know my mom listens.
And we'll see you next time for Mom Gripes,
two.
round 3.
Look, the thoughts and well wishes are with this guy. Obviously, you should have a head on your shoulders enough to be willing to look around. Are you looking up the meme you sent me earlier?
I'm trying to get it to load.
Is it Amiri King? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Because, Patty, you sent me something today that was so 100% perfect. And, I don't think it's... when you find it, give me a nod, and I'll have you read it out. But it's not just the internet that's done this to people. I don't think. I don't know. It's kind of like if you saw the Tucker Carlson Bill Nye debate.
Just exaggerated it. That's all.
It's highlighted how bad it really is.
Always been this way.
Maybe. Have people always been so stupid? There's a great video of Bill Nye and Tucker Carlson debating global warming. And Tucker Carlson's like, so for a fact that human activity has increased the speed of global warming. And Bill Nye's like, yeah. And he goes, okay, so when was the next ice age going to start? And Bill Nye's like, what does that have to do with anything? Well, if you know that we're increasing it, when does science say it was going to start? And Bill Nye refuses to answer. But it's a great logical argument. Okay, wait. If we're speeding it up, what was the prognosis for the next ice age to
Bill
start?
Nye the science guy.
Right, he's a mechanical engineer.
How can you argue with Bill Nye the science guy?
Right, the
He
guy...
had that cool song. Used to watch him in 7th grade.
Right.
I don't know what the big deal is here. I don't know why we're arguing with that guy.
I feel like you might be being sarcastic right now.
You would be correct.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It takes on no one, I guess. Are you real familiar with Bill Nye's background, by the way? If you're not,
I do know that he's a mechanical engineer, but that's about all I know about him.
Undergrad at Cornell as a mechanical engineer, decided he didn't want to do it, entered stand-up comedy. True story. Failed at stand-up comedy, but landed a gig as a character part as Bill Nye the Science Guy, and then it turned into its own series after that, and that's where Bill Nye the Science Guy came from. Never had a lick of anything to do with any science. He just wanted to be an entertainer, and now he's ended up where he is. So be it.
He wanted to be an entertainer, which is why he's now professing to be the all-knowing global warming expert. Makes perfect sense if you don't really think about it.
That's right. Tucker had something. It sounds to me like you saw the same clip.
Yeah, I did.
What did he call him? He called him a popularist or popularizer. Is
Something
that it?
like that, yeah.
He had a pretty good term for him. All right. So my point is this. It's just like, is it still loading for you?
No, I got it.
Oh, okay. So real quick, let's pause. You sent me this earlier. Read me what he posted. This is Amari King, right? That's his name?
Yeah, this was on his Facebook page. So, and it's supposed to look like a Facebook post. It says, "Hi, my name is Alicia, and I will be selling apple pies from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. for only $5. If you would like one, please call me at," and then it gives a phone number.
What's it captioned at the top? Is there a caption at the top of it? It's like this is how people are on Facebook or something?
No, it says, "This is the truest shit ever."
Okay, all right.
So below this fake social media post, it basically describes how people respond to the post, and it numbers them 1 through 6. It says people on social media.
There you go, people on social media.
And the first one is, it's supposed to be like an OMG type thing, but it's really long and drawn out.
All right, back up real fast. She says, "My name is Alicia. I'll be selling apple pies
From 2 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for $5 a piece.
If you would like one, please call me at.
Please call me at this number." And they did all 9s.
Right.
And then it is, here's how people respond on social media.
First one, OMG, I want one. How much are they?
Right.
Second one, hi, I would like a pie. What kind are you selling? Number 3, I just sent you a message. Could you please send me the info on how to get a pie? Number 4, yes, I love pies. How can I order one? Number 5, hello, I've sent several emails and no one will email me back. I really want a pie. And then the last but not least, what's the latest I can get a pie? I need to know before the cutoff time. Every bit of this is so true.
It's so true. And we all see it because you'll post something on Facebook or whatever social media platform and everybody jumps to their conclusions. But you're right in the sense that we do it in real life too, because here's one of my pet peeves. And God bless you if you start paying attention to this, because it's going to drive you insane. It will drive you batty. But what happens is everyone in your life is listening to you talk and simply waiting to respond. Nobody is absorbing anything you say to them.
That's what I'm doing with you right now, actually.
See? Well, the Kris is Always Right podcast has reached its conclusion. Thank you. And that's it. They never hear from us again.
That's it. It's over.
So if you start going around in your daily life and think to yourself, how often do I start to say things to people and then I have to correct them because they made an assumption about what I was about to say? Hey, guys, maybe we should do A, B, C. Oh, no, we can't because we got to do D. Right, I was saying if we do A, B, and C first, then we can do D. No, I'm telling you, we got to do D. Yes, listen to me speak for just a second. If we will do A, B, and C first, D will be that much easier. Do you guys agree? Oh, well, I mean, we got to do D, so I'll just do A, B, and C first. Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Phil. Sit down and shut up. So,
you think there's a big part of that people want things to be their own idea?
Oh, always. The easiest way to get what you want is to convince someone it was their idea first, right? Always. And it is amazing to me that people are capable of I think it's a psychosis, like just that psychotic
like
way of being.
outside of their own head.
What do you mean?
Well, in the sense of it wasn't their idea, but somehow they have convinced themselves that it was.
Right.
And then it's this flash of brilliance that, I mean, it's a good thing I came up with that. It's like, right, I just said the same thing exactly 3 minutes ago. And it was a terrible idea to you then. But now that you've reworded it, but the idea is exactly the same, it's the same premise, now it's a flash of brilliance.
Got to be a psychosis, right? Like that's by definition is believing something that's just absolutely not true simply because
look up
you
in
believe
like the
it.
American
right?
Psychological Association, see if that's actually a thing.
And it maybe a little tie of narcissism into it,
absolutely.
Right? You have no empathy for other people. You have no ability to focus on anything but yourself, and you're willing to believe that, oh yeah, that was my idea.
I think that's called a sociopath, actually.
There you go.
I think we just figured it out.
Oh, AKA Barack Obama. So my gripe here,
AKA Donald Trump.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah, I mean,
could be.
Let's be honest here.
You know, you and to be fair to both of them, you're not going to be successful in life if you don't have a lot of ego. You really got to believe in yourself.
Well, look at Trump.
You got to believe in yourself.
I think it's really funny that his office is just plastered with magazines that are just pictures of himself on the covers of magazines. I think it's hilarious.
Jeez, don't bring that crap to the Oval Office, please. Leave that at Trump Tower, whatever address, crap hole, New York. I hate the state of New York. Where was I?
I have no idea.
So I'm on the Hudson H9 page, and these guys, these bunch of jackals, are release the gun. Who cares? The guy has cancer. Chris Hanna. Maybe I can't say people's names. I don't know. This guy says, "Where's the slide release? He flipped the pistol over." Why couldn't I say somebody's name? It's a public page. All right, Chris Hanna, you're a moron. He wants to know where the slide release is. You flip the pistol over. Here's the thing. If they tell you that they're wishing their friend well, maybe if you want to comment something, you could go, "Oh, hope everything's okay with him. Pistol looks great." And then this is going to blow your mind, people. It's going to blow your mind. And I'm talking, when I say people, I mean the people who are idiots on social media. Maybe then, after you leave that comment, you could go to the dozens of other posts that they have that are related only to the pistol and its functionality. And you can say, "Hey, where's the slide release?" Or, "Hey, this post seems to be about release date. Any idea on a specific time frame?" And you would notice they've already told you 100,000 times that it'll be coming out second quarter of this year.
So people aren't going to go to the effort to look that up.
It's just too hard to scroll. It's too hard to scroll.
Right. So my question is, what do those people do with all their free time?
Right.
Because they're saving so much time by just squeezing it into that one post. It's completely irrelevant. So what are they actually doing with all that free time?
I got to tell you, if you're on Facebook just commenting on stuff, you're not allowed to say you don't have free time. Like, my favorite thing is the people who go to social media to say they're leaving social media. You know what I'm saying? "Yeah, well, I'll be checking out." Okay. Well, obviously it means something to you. I saw a guy today, legitimately today, said, "Well, signing off. Happy Lent." And I was like, "You gave up social media for Lent? You should give up salvation by works." But that's a whole other thing I would give up for Lent. But it's just funny. It's like, if you were leaving social media, maybe there's different reasons you would leave social media. Our friends over at Almost a Show podcast, actually, Jay, who was a guest on this program, he had a pretty solid, I was listening this morning, he had a pretty solid reasoning about how you can detach from social media because everything on it's negative. And why spend your free time hearing negative thoughts, which is probably why he'll never listen to an episode of this podcast. But
Smart man.
Yeah, smart guy. God, I just wanted to replace you with him so bad.
Sorry, bud.
But that was a very cohesive argument of it's mainly negative. Why surround myself with negativity? So I get that, but it's more of like,
but I don't know if it's all negative. I think there's a lot of
certainly a lot
false
of negative
positive.
Sure. What I'm getting at is those who assume they're taking the moral high ground by leaving social media. Well, I'm out of here. There's more important things to do with my life. Inevitably, they're back 3 days later. Just updating everybody. Still on hiatus for Facebook. Thanks for all the support on my previous post. But you're not. Like, you're craving it. Obviously, when you go away, you crave the attention that social media brings you.
Well, much like if you replace a habit, you can't just dissolve a habit. You have to replace it, right?
Yeah.
So it's really funny when people will leave something like, say, Facebook, but they're still on Instagram and they're just blowing it up. They're just wearing that thing out.
Yep.
It's like, so they took all that time they were wasting on Facebook and now they're putting all that time and energy into Instagram or whatever. Pinterest in your case.
I mean, yeah, Pinterest. And look, I'll be honest with you, man, I love social media. I love it. And for all of its goods and all of its bads, I love it because we've never been more connected. We've never been more connected. There's never been a time in the history of man where when my friend gets married in Birmingham, I can log in and just watch it. That's never happened before. That's historic moments. We're connecting in these ways that are unprecedented. And so for all the negative we give it, I think you have to be willing to acknowledge the positives.
So, but Lindsay and I were having a conversation about, there was a band that I like, and I was scrolling through Facebook, and they were doing a Facebook Live. And they were doing a show at a pretty cool venue. And I was like, oh, man, I'd love to go see that one day. That'd be great. But here I am with it in my hand. I can see it now. And Lindsay's comment to me was, do you think in the future anything will be special anymore?
Right. Yeah,
because
that's right.
you don't have to actually be there anymore. You can just sit on your couch and watch it literally in the palm of your hand. Yeah. And it's sort of, I think her point was sort of making people numb to real, genuine experiences.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, yeah, absolutely. We're so spoiled. One of my great fears with the kids is my boys love electronics. They love the technology. But to her point, which I think is incredible, if you've experienced it before, you know that this doesn't compare.
Yeah, it's not the same.
You've seen the live music before. However, if you've never had that experience, you'll think that's all there is to it, right? So if I can make 1,000 friends on social media and feel like I have all these friends, I don't know what it's like to actually have a real friend.
Sure.
I don't know what it's like to have a heartfelt conversation that no one else can eavesdrop on, where I can confide some sort of secret and say, I just got to tell you, this was bad, or this happened, or whatever. I don't have that. So for me, the great fear with my kids is, and the thing I try every weekend to resist, is them not having the experience. So every weekend we go on quote unquote adventures. It was Chimney Rock last weekend. It was Paris Mountain the weekend before that, whatever the case may be, because I want them to know there is a real world out there. We can come home, we can play the video games, we can watch the iPad, whatever, but they have to experience actual life, actual failure, actual rejection. Those negative aspects of life, I think, are important to experience in your formative years so that you can be prepared.
That's how you build character,
when they
right?
happen again later. Right, yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Which I figure is why you're such a character. Lots of failure.
Lots of it. Oh my gosh.
That's a fun one to talk.
But I'll tell you this. It's a funny thing because you talk about your failures and your ego, and you want to keep all that in check, and you want to teach your kids. One of the things, back to what we were just talking about being in any way imitated by other people. I remember, so I don't know if I'm gonna be able to tie this in, but it's a fun story anyway. So I did a Saturday night program on a top 40 station, and we played, I think, were we doing all requests at the time? I don't think so. Here's a bit of dirty laundry for you, by the way, about top 40 radio. They don't actually play requests ever, or ever. Okay. The songs that will play on your top 40
So
radio
I've been
station.
wasting all this time. That's what you're telling me.
You know what? I'm going to dive deep for a second. Yes, you have been. I was on the phone with a friend yesterday. This is so amazing that I hadn't talked to, in 25 years. Legit. I'm 36 years old. The last time I saw him, I was 11. And we reconnected via Facebook, by the way. Found each other, traded numbers. I called him yesterday. We talked a little bit. I remember being at his house as a kid and calling the radio station asking for a song to play, and the DJ telling me, yeah, it's going to play in just a minute. And we hung up, and we listened to like 4 songs, and we called back, and she said, it'll play in a couple of minutes. And we listened to another couple of songs that didn't play, so we called back, and she exploded, just exploded on us. It was the first time I'd ever heard somebody say GD. And she said it to a couple of kids who were calling a radio station to request a song.
That makes sense.
Of course, because the radio station is lying to you and telling you they play requests, but they don't. Okay, top 40 at least most likely does not. Now, some top 40 stations go, oh, well, we keep a request log, and then we plug those in occasionally. B to the S. It does not happen, okay? What happens is they will record your requests, and then they'll go to record labels and go, hey, we're getting a lot of requests for this, and we're willing to add it, but what do you have to give us? Which is why you get all these no-names in your town all the time who are willing to play an acoustic show at the radio station, is most likely because there's a bigger artist on their same label, and the label will say, okay, well, you add these guys in their song, we'll bring you that bigger artist. It's just the way it works. It's a business. I'm not blaming them except for the fact that it's all a charade. They lie to you about everything. So, where was I going with this? Radio stations don't play requests. I learned that at a very young age. I later learned that a lot of radio DJs are just absolute morons. When I was getting into radio and I was talking to a top 40 DJ about Coldplay, and he said, who's that? And I told him, and he said, well, we don't play any of their stuff, so they can't be that good. And he was dead serious. Coldplay. He didn't think they were any good, because his top 40 B93.7 radio station didn't play them. He now does construction for his dad's company, which might speak volumes about who he was as a person. All right, Chris, where the heck are you going with all this? Here's where I'm going with all of it. So there's a great charade of we'll act like we play, the music and blah, blah. So I'm doing this show on Saturdays, and I'm kind of like disconnected with top 40. I never really fit in with the top 40 crowd. Okay, they didn't like me too much. I knew it. I could feel it. In fact, This guy, Chase Murphy, was my boss and literally took me to lunch one day and told me to leave. That's no crap. He said, "You're not going anywhere. I'm not going to promote you."
I like this guy already.
Yeah, right. You've been here too long. And he told me to leave. So I went job searching. He told me I wouldn't find what I was looking for. When I did, I took the offer and I put it on his desk and said, "Hey, look at that." He can't get too mad. It's not his real name. Radio people, it's never their real name. So all that is to say, same guy, I said to him, "I'm going to do a musical." And he said, "What?" And I said, "I'm going to do a musical. And it's going to be all about my ex-girlfriend stealing my Nintendo Wii." Because this was in the era of High School Musical was big, whatever the other...
My personal favorite.
Yeah, I know it was. American Idol was at the peak of its existence. And I said, I'm going to do just an all-out musical, 1 hour of me singing songs about getting my Nintendo Wii back. Because I bought a Wii. This girl and I were dating. We broke up. And when we broke up, I was so fed up that I literally... she went to bed, and we had said, we're done, we're over. And I grabbed a few things and I left, and left the Wii there. And so I did this whole musical about wanting my Wii back, and it was really good. But he laughed at me, just like he laughed at me when I told him I'd applied for a job in Tampa. He laughed at me and said, "Yeah, okay, good luck." And then I got a call and interviewed for that job. And that guy said, "I'm not going to hire you for Tampa, but I am going to hire you in Birmingham, Alabama." And he did. So I moved. All this is just to say, I know that was a lot of nothing, right? So all this is to say this. There's that fine line of keeping your ego in check and believing in yourself, knowing this is real and tangible and I can do this, or this is the fake experience like the iPad or Facebook or whatever. So I took him this idea of doing a musical, and he kind of was like, "Okay, yeah, whatever." And he said no. And I said, "Here's the idea. I'll do the first 3 numbers of the musical, and we'll have 6 total. I'll do the first half of it. I'll play it for you, and if you hate it, we won't do it at all. I'll stop working on it." Brought him the first 3. Not only did he like it, he liked it enough that he said, "Let me be on the next one." And so the next one was him doing a rap, which was really fun. It was really good. The point is, everybody doesn't always see the end goal. You have to be the one that can look at yourself and whatever it is you're doing and say, "That's where it's headed. That's what I'm going to do with it. And I'm going to drive it home until the people that I know will believe in it will believe in it." And that can be hindered, back to Lindsay's point, I know this was a long road, I'm sorry, but that can be hindered by the idea of you've never really experienced what works and what doesn't work. If you haven't failed, if you haven't really believed in something and then it sank, and then you have to go back and go, okay, wait. What did I miss that was wrong in the beginning of it? Oh, this was wrong, that was wrong. It's just like relationships, just like you date people, right? When I started dating my wife, I remember being on date number 1. This is true. Now, to my credit, this was before Glenn Beck was crazy. I was in my apartment, and she knocked, and I opened the door. I said, "Hey," and she was meeting me there, and I was going to drive us up to Cheesecake Factory, and we're going to have dinner and all that.
Baller.
I know, right? It was the big joint back in Birmingham, though, for the record. In Birmingham, Alabama, the Cheesecake Factory sits at what's called the Summit. And, man, you look down over the mountains, it's a prime spot. If you're going on a date, it is actually a good place to go if you can sit outside, which we did. But she came in, Glenn Beck was on TV, and she goes, "Who's that?" And I was like, "Well, get out," like that. She's like, "What?" And we knew each other. It wasn't like a first-time meeting. We knew each other well enough to get the humor. She goes, "No, who is it?" So I told her. She goes, "Okay, I don't know who that is." I was like, "Boy, this is going to be interesting."
Much like your DJ friend.
My poor wife.
Then your wife said, "Well, I mean, if they're not on Nickelodeon, they must not be any good." Right?
That's about right. So now I've lost my total train of thought. My point is, what? Oh, just like dating. That first date, man, we covered it all. And I told her, I said, "Look, I just feel like this whole idea of don't talk politics and religion and all that, that's bunk. Don't buy into that. If you go on a first date with somebody, don't waste a second date then learning that. Learn it on the first date. Enjoy yourself, but learn it on the first date. I mean, I remember being young and I would date these liberal girls, man. Like, they would be so far gone. Like, so I dated a girl that thought the earth was flat. That's not a joke. I remember being in North Carolina with this girl, and she was just like rabidly liberal. And we don't.
What's her number? Asking for a friend.
Yes, yeah, right. We were only on a couple of dates, but like on our second or third date, I was like, man, this girl's crazy. Not only she was crazy for many reasons, but I would hang out with these chicks almost like I thought, well, you know, I'll hang out with them, and it's good to have somebody that thinks differently than you do. But that was just young naivete, right? Like, it's just, you buy into this idea of maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, and maybe everything will be better eventually. All right, all of this is to say that when you get into the idea of social media and what is, I think, our societal construct of today of you're only popular if you're popular on social media, that's the big thing that worries me about my kids. So I want them to be out. Let me tie everything back together real quick. I want them to fail. I want a boss to laugh at them. I want someone to tell them that's not going to work, and then they do it, and then that person goes, actually, it works so well, I want to be a part of it. I want them to date girls, boys, for my daughter, that are crazy a little, that show them what's bad about dating so that they can eventually grow up to be, 20-something and go, okay, I'm done with that part of dating. Let me be mature about my dating. I do worry that the social media will disconnect in that sense. But the flip side of it is there's so much amazing stuff. There's so much, like you said, you can watch your favorite band, but you have to understand what it feels like in real life. You can remember the DJI promo, that DJI promo for the Mavic, where the scientists have it over the volcano. And there's a classroom of kids watching the video of the volcano, and they're asking the scientists questions in real time. And the scientists, I think they were in Hawaii, right? I think, maybe, are answering in real time. So you got kids in like Ohio watching a volcano in Hawaii and asking whatever they want to ask. It's an amazing time to be alive.
We had overhead projectors.
Right.
With the little clear piece of paper with stuff drawn on it.
It's unbelievable. It's so amazing. My son and I were telling, my oldest son has this cool thing we do every night where he asks for a story, and we just make them up. There's no rhyme or reason to them. We just make them up. And one night it was a volcano full of lava, and I came up with that, and he said, "What's lava?" And I said, "Remind me tomorrow, we'll look it up." We get up the next morning, I go to YouTube, type in lava. There are videos of lava like surrounding Coke cans, and it explodes everywhere, and cans of baked beans exploding everywhere. It's an amazing time, because when else before could you sit down? Your parents, my parents at least, I remember encyclopedias. Like, I remember we had a shelf full of encyclopedias.
You used to have to use your imagination.
What is that?
Right,
Yeah.
Exactly.
So I do find myself parenting in the style of my parents sometimes. Last week, I kicked everybody out of the house, 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, literally onto the back deck. And I was like, which isn't like a high-rise deck, right? It's 2 steps above the ground. Off. I said, everybody outside till A, you can get along, and B, till I say you can come back inside. And within 5 minutes, they're playing blocks, and they got a bunch of toys out there that they just play with. So you have to kick them out occasionally and disconnect them. But it is an amazing thing for me as a parent, especially, but even as a person, to look at social media and go, there are those people who live in La La Land on social media. Like, they are disconnected beyond belief.
Absolutely.
And then there are those who take it way too seriously, like they're going to solve all the world's problems. I'd probably fall into that category. Everything I share on social media is me saying, hey, here's a problem. Hey, here's a problem. Hey, here's a problem. More so because I don't think my meal matters. I think what really matters is that you understand this or that.
Jay was talking about you with the negativity? Since you're pointing out all the problems?
Could be.
Okay.
Could be.
I just wanted to ask.
You're really making me want to troll him like all day tomorrow. I don't think he did give it up, by the way. I think he was saying that he and his wife had considered it because it's always so negative.
No, I don't think he did.
So, okay. All right. All that. All right. I want to make... I'm sorry for all that. What should be long tangential, I think you could call it, nonsense there, buddy.
We're getting really good at it, though.
This is all me not hating people. I'm trying my best to not hate people. So just please be aware. Be aware of whatever's happening around you. If someone is wishing someone with cancer well, don't gripe about a release date. That's really, really stupid, and it makes you look like a bad person. But so be it. All right, let's gloss two things real quick, and then we'll wrap it up because we're hitting the hour mark. I understand. Did you watch President Trump's speech, or have you read it?
Negative.
Negative, okay. I haven't either, and I almost feel bad about that because I feel a little bit disconnected. Super busy time for everybody, but I do want to say this. What I have seen are the clips of the Democrats refusing to stand.
I have the Fox News and the CNN apps on my phone, and they give me little news updates. And they were going rapid fire last night,
Yeah.
which sort of just turned me off to it because
blame
they're both putting their spin on it, which was really pretty crappy, I guess. So I just kind of decided it wasn't. It's all. I'll tell you what. This is how
Tell
I
me.
view political speeches. I view them like a basketball game.
Right.
It's the same thing for about an hour. No matter where you jump into it, whether you watch it from the beginning or you pick up in the middle, it's
Yeah.
the same thing every time.
Yeah.
And at the end, I can find out everything that happened that was important if I just watch the clips
Yeah.
at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I just watch the replay, pick it up on SportsCenter, and I feel a lot better about it. I feel like I didn't really waste my time, but I still hit the high points.
There was a recent, super hyped fight that was like that, where, dude got knocked out in the first round or something.
Yeah, that's called every UFC fight
Right.
ever.
Well, Tim Kennedy is a Green Beret, Special Forces sniper, Army Ranger, and a professional MMA fighter. Tim Kennedy, MMA.com. Also part of a...
Sorry about that UFC comment I just made.
Yeah, right. I'm sure he will be. Also part of a cool group of guys at RangerUp.com. Pretty cool T-shirts and apparel and stuff from Ranger Up. He posted this today about the speech. And again, I didn't see the speech, but I have seen the clip of the Democrats not standing. Tim Kennedy says, just so we're clear, if I die in combat and my wife attends the president's speech and for political reasons a bunch of those attending refuse to stand for her, I swear to God, my teammates will come and bury each of you. This isn't a, I hope
Period.
this happens. This is what will happen.
Nah, he seemed pretty confident. Say he's got that one figured out.
Here's the thing. If I'm Keith Ellison, right, and I'm the first elected Muslim to the House of Representatives, right, of Minnesota, a guy, by the way, who we know has ties to terrorist-friendly organizations. Just FYI. Keith Ellison, not a good dude. But let's just say I'm Keith Ellison. And I know for a fact that I'm not a good dude, but I play one on TV. I would think that the last thing I'd want to do is stay seated when they honor the widow of a man recently killed in a terrorist raid in Yemen. A man who, as the president said, helped collect so much intelligence that it would lead to saving other lives in the future. And you're going to sit there and not do anything to acknowledge his sacrifice? For what? For what reason? The only reason I can come up with is because you absolutely don't believe that he should have been doing what he was doing, which is fighting radical terrorism, radical Islam, if you will, fundamental Islam, if I will. It's fundamentalism. We're fighting it around the world. Yeah. And so Keith Ellison didn't stand up because I believe that guy was fighting against Keith's friends. And Keith doesn't like that. He doesn't like people to go over and take out people who believe the same things Keith believes. It's one guy's opinion on it, but that's the only reason I can find for not standing up when one of our guys gets killed by someone who believes the same thing you believe.
This is in no way, I'm not trying to counter your point, but just in addition to that, I'd like to ask, what was everybody else's excuse then? Because
I think it's the same.
Nancy Pelosi believe the same thing?
Absolutely.
Okay.
See, all right, we're going to go over an hour.
Muslim. Tell him you're a Muslim.
Yes, that's her.
Right?
It's Nancy. Here's the thing. I was listening to, I can't remember, man, so I won't say it. Someone I respect the other day said,
It was probably me.
oh, wait. Oh, I almost had it.
No, yeah, it was me then.
Somebody I was watching the other day.
You respect a lot.
Oh, no, I don't respect him. It was Mike Gallagher. I just remembered. He's such a blowhard. I can't believe I said I respect him. Mike Gallagher was having a conversation the other day with a guy, and the guy goes, they were arguing about fake news, which is such a malarkey anyway. And the guy says, Mike, don't you know that these people love America? And Mike goes, of course they love America. And I don't remember the topic at hand. It'll probably come to me as I'm spitballing here. But I thought, no, they don't. No, they don't. They don't. They hate America. Remember this. Never forget. These people wanted to overthrow the Electoral College. Now, you got Schwarzenegger, the housemaid banger, as I call him, and he's out there talking about how now we have to get rid of gerrymandering, which, welcome to conservatism 1980, right? Gerrymandering is terrible. It shouldn't exist. We should find an equal way to divide up the voting lines. If you're not familiar, gerrymandering is gerrymandering, I think, named after a guy who pretty much perversely drew his congressional district so that he would definitely get enough votes to win. But here's what they do. So then now Schwarzenegger is promoting pure democracy because he goes, well, if this person gets 75% of a district's votes, he should definitely get more than 12% representation in the House. That's what he's doing. But no. That's actually exactly how it should work. If he only represents 12% of the population, he should only get 12% in the House. Anyway,
that he's discovering this now that he's not a politician anymore.
Right. Well, again,
could have affected some change in California, but we're just banging the maid.
Yeah, exactly. Now that he's not making babies with the help, he's got some time to think.
Right.
He's like, you know what? It's probably a good idea. A republic. Just gonna throw it out there. No, wait a second. I would make it a constitutional republic. And it would be comprised, this is gonna sound crazy, I would do 50 sovereign states, okay? So they're all independent of the federal government, but, again, stick with me. There's checks and balances in place to make sure that kind of some big laws apply to everybody. Thanks, Arnold. Appreciate you joining us. And welcome to 9th grade civics with Mr. Vermillion. So anyway, you get these guys who are so far aboard. So where were we going with this? Mike Gallagher was somewhere in this conversation. Mike Gallagher and his buddy were talking about how they respect America. And so the writer who Gallagher was interviewing, and just for the record, here's what annoys me about Mike Gallagher. If you ever listen to his show, watch how often a caller makes a point that Mike has never made, and Mike goes, I've been saying that for years, and hangs up and moves on, but then accentuates on the point. Like, like you'd call up and you'd say...
He actually says that in all the commercials, too.
He talks I've been telling you for years.
I've been going there for years. He says that about every single place.
And you got to go to Hoskins Family Dentistry because I do. And I go, nope. You're like the last guy in the world I want to run into. You drive me crazy. Now, full disclosure, I was once on the Mike Gallagher radio show. This is true. And I started to make a point, and he assumed he knew what I was about to say, hijacked it, and hung up on me. It's a true story. I was going to make the point. It was about...
Welcome to Talk Radio.
Yeah. Well, it was about voter ID laws, I believe, was the discussion. And the Democrats under Obama, and Obama had agreed, the Justice Department was saying harder scrutiny for the southern states because they have a history of voter suppression. And I called in to say, shut up and agree with it, but then say, let's do it by the party in charge at the time. Because then they would have to turn around and go, oh, you mean the Democrats? Because the Democrats were the people running the South when voter suppression was a thing. But I said, I would just give into it. And then I'd go, and he goes, oh, yeah, you would. Yeah, I've been saying that for years. And he basically hung up on me. And I was like, what just happened? It's the strangest thing. So ever since then, I've kind of had this chip on my shoulder about old Mike Gallagher. But
speaking of the old Democrats and Trump's speech, I did hear something funny. I can't take credit for this one, but somebody was making a joke about all the Democrats wearing white, and the last time they all did that was at the 1924 convention in Madison Square Garden.
That's right. They burned the place down and beat people up.
It was basically a big Klan rally.
That's right. That's right. And
that basically all they were missing The other night was just the white pointy hats, which I thought was pretty funny.
I'm looking for my book. I won't find it in time. And in Louisiana, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Yes?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Listen, you're dead on, my friend. You're dead on. There's a great book. If you've never read it, it's called American History in Black and White. Go to feltrecoilshow.com, look under recommended gear, and it is linked there. You can grab it. Check this out. This is something everybody needs to hear. I'm agreeing with you. Charlie Sumner, one of the founders of the new Republican Party, was U.S. Senator Charles Sumner, who had taken the seat of the great Senator Daniel Webster. Sumner had a record of promoting civil rights, and in fact, he had championed the desegregation of public schools in Boston and argued on that issue before the state Supreme Court. In 1856, Sumner gave a 2-day-long speech in the U.S. Senate against slavery. Following that speech, Democratic Representative Preston Brooks from South Carolina came from the House across the rotunda of the Capitol over to the Senate, where he literally clubbed down Sumner on the floor of the Senate, knocked him unconscious, and beat him almost to death. According to the sources of that day, many Democrats thought that Sumner's clubbing was deserved, and it even amused them. It was 3.5 years before Sumner recovered his health sufficiently to return to the Senate, and, not surprisingly, the first speech he delivered on his return was against slavery.
If I'm not mistaken, and I can't remember if it's him or if it was another, because it gets pretty raucous down there.
Yeah, it sure does.
But I believe his club that he struck him with is actually on display in the South Carolina State Museum in Columbia.
Is it really?
I think. Don't quote me on that.
You mean Nikki Haley didn't take that out and burn it somewhere along with that flag she was suddenly so mad about?
She will.
That is weird. She's definitely a champion for the people, right? Right?
Well, yeah, some
Right.
of them.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Right.
Every once in a while.
When people say she has to be, or else her political career's over. All right, anyway, American History in Black and White. Go read it. Let me wrap that thought up. You have this look on your face like you just wish I'd stopped talking.
No, never.
The whole point I'm making here about the Democrats was that I do believe, that judging by their history, they hate this country. And I know it sounds like, just because they're a Democrat. Not just because they're a Democrat. You can be a Democrat and not hate the country. I mean, the Nancy Pelosi and Keith Ellisons, who are so hell-bent on some radical form of government that they will absolutely do whatever it takes to dismantle it and start anew. And I just don't think it was coincidence that they didn't stand up, because I think they... here's what I would say. It's not that they agree with ISIS, but... it is that they understand why ISIS hates us. Because they hate us too.
I heard a good point the other day, and it was essentially that ISIS, their goal is to basically dismantle Western civilization. And the liberals, while they don't agree on the means, they do agree on the basic idea that Western civilization should be broken down and then rebuilt in their weird utopian, whatever, communistic, whatever.
Yeah.
And so while they don't agree with how, they do agree with the principle. So they would rather just let it happen. And if radical Islam is the means to that, and so be it, whatever.
Yeah, not a big deal.
That makes it work a little easier for us.
It's just one big misunderstanding about beheading Jews and child molestation. I don't really understand, I will tell you this. One of the things to look at is the fact that they're teaching Plato and Socrates as if those were some really smart dudes, when really they were some messed up guys with some crazy ideas. If you ever read The Republic, which is required reading for most college freshmen in their little philosophy class, it's all about a small group of people being super smart and lying to everyone else about why they should be in charge. So I remember actually doing a paper on it, and the guy, because I went to college late in life, and the guy that was teaching the class, who was, I think he was 12. I remember him writing on there, you really don't like this. And I said, no. Plato and Socrates were liars. They believed that they were smarter than everyone else, and that meant they deserved power over everyone else around them. And I think Pelosi and Keith Ellison and Al Franken and all those weirdos of the world believe the exact same thing. I'm smarter
Al
than
Franken
you.
is a genius.
He really is. In what respect? At talking to himself in a mirror and making it funny? Yes.
Yes, that
Okay.
was. Yep.
Okay. At making fun of.
But that's all I got.
All right. He's also a genius at making fun of closeted homosexuals, because that's all Stuart Smalley was in my book. Closeted homosexual living in his mom's basement talking to himself in the mirror. But nobody wants to gripe about that. All right.
I'm gonna let it go.
You can mock the gays as long as you're a liberal. All right, listen, a couple of things here. Number one, please find us on YouTube, Felt Recoil Show. Give us a like and a subscribe if you so choose. Look for videos every week there about different gear we come across and everything we like about it. Also, visit feltrecoilshow.com. Check out the charity of choice every week and all of our recommended gear, including the book we mentioned, American History in Black and White by David Barton. You're going to want to read that. It's really, really good. All right. Email any questions, concerns, or comments to Kris or Patrick at feltrecoilshow.com.
It's Kris with a K, not spelled KHRIS.
Nope.
It's just K.
It's just KRIS.
RIS.
I mean, I guess I can see the confusion if I tell you my name's Kris with a K. You might write KHRIS if...
Who knows?
Yeah. The backstory
I just
there,
felt like clarifying, that's all.
the backstory is that I had to give a report to a police officer, and I told him my name was Kris with a K, and he spelled it KHRIS. True story. All right, we'll see you next week, and we got some, you know what? I just want to say this. I'm going to tease you. We're working on some big-name guests here. So appreciate you sharing this with a friend. Appreciate the downloads, because that actually really helps us get into the ear of bigger name people that you might want to hear on the show. So tell more people and invite more friends to listen, and we appreciate it every time. We'll see you next time for episode number 16.